Jai Hind students, how are you? How are all of you? um, Today we will be beginning the new lesson. I have got some students' uh, assignments. I have received them and I have checked them also. But some of you are delaying. Please submit it on time. Okay, because I am grading you for it. uh, and I've made a playlist for you. If you have missed any of the online lessons, there also you can go and easily watch the video lessons and explanation content. So today we will be going through the poem The Lake Isle of Innisfree, written by William Butler Yeats. First of all, about the poet. Who was W.B. Yeats? William Butler Yeats. So he was an Irish poet. He was born on June 13th, 1865 in Ireland, obviously. He was one of the foremost figures of the 20th century literature. So he was one of the renowned poets. He was awarded with the prestigious Nobel Prize in Literature in 1923. So just like our Indian poet Rabindranath Tagore had received the Nobel Prize, even W.B. Yeats had also received the Nobel Prize in Literature in the year 1923. He passed away in 1939. So look at these images, and it will tell you the scenery of the place where the poet longs to go. As you can see, it's a beautiful place with birds, some cricket, some bees. Yeah. Uh, so let me read out the poem to you once. I will arise and go now, and go to Innisfree, and a small cabin built there, of clay and wattles made. 9 bean rows will I have there, a hive for the honey bee, and live alone in the bee loud glade, and I shall have some peace there. For peace comes dropping slow, dropping from the wheels of the morning to where the cricket sings. There midnight's all a glimmer, and noon to purple glow, and evening full of linnet's wings. I will arise and go now, for always night and day. I hear the lake water lapping with low sounds by the shore, while I stand on the roadway or on the pavement's grey. I hear it in the deep heart's core. So, this is the poem as it goes. I have recited it to you. Let's go through a synopsis of the poem. So, the poet W.B. Yeats, who himself is the speaker in the Lake Isle of Innisfree, gives us a peep into his mind and his soul. What he wants, what he is longing for. His desire is to return to a peaceful, quiet, and natural place away from the hustle and bustle of life. Yes, because city life is indeed a very fast paced life, and we have lot of work, and we have no time simply to stand and stare, and we have a lot to care. That is why people long for recreation, and people want a vacation of sorts where they can just go and be with themselves and be relaxed and peaceful. So that is what the poet is longing for. He brings forth the positive values that govern his life. In the poem, he emerges as a peace loving fellow who is sick of the hectic, restless, noisy, and materialistic life of the cities. Obviously, so that is What he's saying, he wants to lead a simple life, not a materialistic life of the cities, because in cities you need actually a lot of things to survive, and even if you don't use, then you might be judged. Why aren't you using some of the things which are normal? Like in some of the European nations, if you don't own a car, it is very strange, because they're about almost everyone does. So this man, WB Yeats, he wants to be away from such a materialistic life. He emerges as a profound lover of natural beauty and tranquility. What he longs for is not a car, is not a Bentley or a Porsche or a Maruti or a Suzuki. What he wants is natural beauty. He wants to hear the sound of the lapping of the lake on the shore. He wants to hear the sound of the bees. His strong nostalgia for the beautiful sights and sounds on the Lake Isle. Lake Isle means an island within a lake. And his desire to lead a simple life of unbroken solitude and peace on the island, Lake Island, reveal the simplicity of his heart and mind. He is a simple man and he wants the simple life. He wants to live in a place which is naturally scenic and beautiful. Are you also, uh, some of you might also have a philosophy or a thinking as the WB Yeats, and to some extent, even I like the natural beauty. I prefer it more than the urban jungle, the concrete buildings, concrete jungle. So, the Lake Isle of Innisfree is nature versus civilization. What we value in nature is often the exact opposite of what civilization brings. Also, civilization sometimes destroys the peace that nature provides. Yes, if you go to Kolkata, if you go to Chennai, or if you go to Delhi, you will not hear peace and silence out there. If you go to the roads, there are always honking going on. Pap, 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 pap. Yeah, some factory sounds, some noise, some construction sounds, drilling machine, or that cutting of the marble, and it is very irritating and really troublesome to live in such an noisy environment. That is why students sometimes, we teachers also stress the importance of silence in the classrooms, because we need a proper tranquil environment to really observe and assimilate knowledge slowly. We need a kind of peaceful environment so that our learning faculties will work in optimal manner. So I hope you are also sitting in such an good and calm environment and taking in what this video lesson has to offer. So it is also a musical poem. It explores the poet's longing for peace and tranquility of Innisfree, which is the name of the place. A place where he spent a lot of time as a boy, and when he was a boy, he had spent time out there. Innisfree is the name of a place. It is a very quiet place, and that is the reason the poet wants to go there. He had spent his childhood in this place. As a child, he had spent his childhood in this place, and that those memories have now formed a big part of him, and he's very nostalgic about it as he wants to return to that place. Maybe if some of you um, get jobs or businesses abroad in or in some other city, so 10 years, 20 years, or maybe 15 years down the line, when you think of Siliguri, also you might have such a kind of feeling, a feeling of nostalgia, because it is the place where you grew up as a child. Now, the poet is endowed with profound imagination and sensitive observation. Observation. How do the bees make sound? what was the environment, what sound did the cricket make, so what was the scenery of the sky. All these observations are made by the poet, and they were made by the poet earlier, and he's trying to recollect, and this imagination creates a vision within him. With very keen senses, he sees, observes, and presents the beauty of the island in the morning, in the noontime, how it was, in the evening, and even at midnight. He can hear the sound of the bees, the cricket, the linnet, and the waves. He can visualize the tranquil glade, the glimmering light of the midnight, and the purple glow of afternoon. You must have observed such things. When you look at the sky in the evenings, about when the sun has started to set, you see a different color. You see the sky lit up with different colors: orange, orangish, reddish, sometimes pinkish, and sometimes with purple hues. Okay, and it's really very beautiful and authentic. And you can also hear, in contrast, the loud and unpleasant sounds of the traffic in cities, and contrast it with the captivating and soothing music of the waves. Yes, have you ever put a conch over your ears and try to hear? Conch, the ones in your temple which you blow. Yeah. So if you do that, you can also, it seems as if you are hearing the waves of the sea. So obviously, which sound is better, the humdrum of the traffic or the soothing sounds created by nature, the water bodies? Further, the poet lacks a material attitude towards life. He wants to avoid the hectic activities of the materialistic life of the cities and live in a small cabin of clay, a hut, a small cottage. And wattles means, you have seen sticks and things on the fences, right? Fences made of sticks, not the concrete boundaries. So he wants to live in such a place, a very simple life. He wants to avoid the hectic activities of the materialistic life of the cities and live in a small cabin. He wants to have only enough to fulfill his basic needs of life. Like now, most of us are only trying to fulfill the basic needs of life because of this pandemic going on. And yeah, thus the poet comes forth as a person with profound imagination, minute observation, strong memories, and a deep love for nature. He is inspired by the values of contentment and harmony. And that is also the theme of the poem. The Lake Isle of Innisfree is a three stanza poem. Obviously, there are three stanzas, yeah, and each quatrain is made up of three long lines and one short. The rhyme scheme is AB AB. Uh, I have already explained you why AB AB. First line ends with innisfree. Innisfree. Second line, made, wattle made. Third line, honeybee. So again, Innisfree and honeybee, it's rhyming. So AB, again AB, made. Fourth line is glade. If you check the line, if you have the book, you can check it out along with the book. If you don't have, I have already sent you the PDF. Okay. Yeah. Now, imagery. There is a fair amount of imagery in this poem. We can behold that small cabin, those 9 rows of beans, that buzzing hive of bees, the slowly dawning sky, and the peaceful cricket song, the shimmery glimmer midnight, the purple sky in the noon, and finally the beating. Have you heard the beating of a bird's wings? Similar. Repetition. There is slight repetition in the poem. Repetition. The first line of the first stanza and the first line of the third stanza start the same way with the sentence I will rise and go. Alliteration. Alliteration. I have already said you it's a figure of speech. So where there is the repetition of the same consonant sounds, which you can see in line 2 of stanza 3. Lake water lapping with low sounds. L L L. That is why the sound of L is repeating in the same line, which is creating and which is making use of alliteration. Then there is also use of metaphor. There are a couple of metaphors in the poem. By now you also know what is a metaphor. If you don't know, I am telling you, it is a comparison. Okay, comparison without using like or as between two different entities. The first one occurs in line 2 of stanza 2. Wheels of morning might prefer to the fog or dew one often experiences in green places. And the last line of the poem is a metaphor too. It means to say that the speaker of the poem deeply desire it. So with this we end our synopsis and my explanation content for the Lake Isle of Innisfree, written by William Butler Yeats. If you have understood the lesson and if you have attended the lesson, please like the video, and if you have any doubts, please comment out there. I will happily explain you and clear your doubts. You need to write a 200 word summary of this poem like I advise in most of the chapters that I have taught, and you need to solve the exercises, textual exercises that are there for all the chapters that I have taught till now. Okay, I hope you are updating them. After completing, take a snapshot and send me in my WhatsApp number, and I will check over it and grade you for it. Also, watch the next lesson where I will discuss a few question answers with you for a better understanding. Thank you for now. Jai Hind students. Please update your work and do study, make a proper routine and stick to it. Thank you. Jai Hind.